Hey folks, I'm getting a lot of questions about Insecure season 3, and particularly the fact that Lawrence, who is played by Jay Ellis, is probably not going to be in season 3. In fact, we pretty much know he won't be in season 3 because he said he hasn't done any taping for Lawrence, but who knows, that may change. And Issa Rae finally acknowledged that Lawrence probably will not be in season 3, and that her character has moved on, or so she says that her character has moved on. But remember, way back in season 1, right at the very beginning, the first episode, she's pining about her alpha, which is Daniel. And I think I did a video. I think I did a episode, a podcast about Daniel and how Daniel was her alpha and the difference between Daniel and Lawrence. And I think at the time we were doing the educated lame debates and stuff like that from, the Lawrence type and then the Daniel type, who is represented by the upscale, I say Ray, and that they're basically two different, I would say classes of men. One is very corporate, very educated, maybe even slightly geeky, if that's a term. So he would be the smart brother, and then you would have the producer, rapper, street dude, like who's played in the form of Daniel. And how Daniel is Issa's alpha. That's the kind of guy that she likes. You can tell by her language and by the things that she says, that's the kind of guy she likes. And Lawrence was the guy that she's supposed to be with. Since she's college educated, she runs around with 92 octanes, even though she herself is not a 92 octane. She herself is an 89, which is that in-between stage. And Lawrence, for Issa, is the guy that she's supposed to have. Lawrence is the guy that her girlfriends approve of. Like, you can tell that her 92 octane girlfriends do not like Daniel. They don't hate him because he's not a hateable guy, but they do not like Daniel because he is not, I wouldn't say equipped, but he doesn't fit into their bougie lifestyle or their bougie world, which Lawrence actually does, because Ron once said Lawrence is bougie himself. And that Lawrence was bougie himself in season 2 was actually played out when he tried to date an 87, which is a regular working class girl, Tasha. Tasha's not a ratchet. She's not ghetto. She's just a regular girl. She's just a regular neighborhood girl. And Lawrence wasn't able to adjust. That was probably one level too far down. He could deal with Issa because Issa's college educated, even though Issa has her regular girl habits, but Lawrence couldn't come down that far. By the same token, Lawrence and Issa never really fit. So Lawrence not coming back makes more sense. Lawrence in season 2 found himself. When he left Issa, he found that he didn't belong in what we call, I wouldn't say ordinary black life, but I'm saying is the regular working class black life. By the kind of girlfriends that he picked, the kind of women that he made love to, we only saw one girl that he dated from work, but the kind of women that hung around him, that partied with him, that knew how to talk his language, was more of the educated class. And even though Issa's educated, Issa has a lot of, working class values. And the neighborhood dude, which is Daniel, actually fits her to the T. I always thought Daniel fit Issa to a T. And she always makes that excuse that, well, he's already been there for me, because he's her alpha. That is the one that took her virginity. That is the one that came back to get her. That's the one that she came back to get. When she was away from college, she came back all the way back to the neighborhood to find Daniel, which is something that we peeked in on the very first episode, and it was basically consistent all the way through the whole show. Daniel was always there. Daniel was always the one that has that push-pull. Daniel's the one that she knows she's attracted to, but because she has bougie friends and she has some bougie attitude, she cannot quite bring herself to actually give herself completely over to Daniel, which is probably what drives black men crazy. It's because women can't be real with themselves. And since they can't be real with themselves, they can't be real with their men. Like in the last episode when Issa said she wanted the best for Lawrence and she really loved Lawrence. I do believe that she did, but that is the dichotomy between what you should be with and what you're attracted to. Now, in a perfect world, character Daniel and the character Tasha should have been together because their characters are more in sync. But Tasha, even though she's an 87, which is a regular working class girl, her alpha was actually Lawrence. And I continue to say that her alpha is Lawrence, which on its face doesn't make sense. He's not in her class, but that is her alpha. That is her ideal man, and had been even from the first time we saw Tasha, that Lawrence was her ideal man. Even though he's a little bit nerdy, he's a little bit bougie, Lawrence is Tasha's alpha. And that is the internal working of, well, all people really. Who should we be with? And why should we be with them? And sometimes what's in your internal world, it doesn't matter. With Issa, I could tell you from the very beginning that Issa should have been with Daniel because that is who she is most attracted to, and vice versa. And that as long as he's there, as long as he's alive, as long as he's around, that's where pull of gravity is going to be towards him, towards them getting together. The heart wants what the heart wants. What's going on now between the so-called educated lambs, classic men, thinking men, and the war going on between what we call the Pookies and Ray Rays. That kind of stuff shouldn't go on. And Insecure is the perfect crystallization of that internal world and why it shouldn't go on. Because a lot of these women, a lot of people, period, I wouldn't say just women, are disingenuous by really what they're attracted to and why they're attracted to them. And they can't make peace with that. In the old days, you would make peace with it. Just because you're attracted to that dude or attracted to that woman, you wouldn't scratch that itch because you knew at the very end that woman was not good for you or that man was not good for you. And you would stay in your lane no matter what. But now we're into this happiness at all costs, to do what I want to do and be free, and it's causing people angst. Having a good woman that fits you or having a good man that fits you is not enough anymore. You have to be completely fulfilled. Issa is going to resist Daniel is because he can't check all her boxes. So she can't give herself over completely to him. And I think that's how it's going to play out. Even before I've seen the episodes, I may get surprised, but so far she hasn't surprised me at all. Molly and Issa are exactly the place where they should be. Molly loves unavailable, dysfunctional men. That's where she's at. Issa loves hood dudes. The two dudes she was most attracted to was who? The young hoodlum that was downstairs in her apartment building, and Daniel, who are the epitome of hood dudes. One Ray Ray that was lower class, less money, and one more upscale. Same dude. Lawrence was not that dude. Lawrence is more sensitive, more insecure, just as much as Issa. That's the only one. That's one of the things that they shared. They were both insecure about who they were and where they stood. And that dysfunction, which is what kept them together for so long. But once they found themselves, they knew they had to split up. So Lawrence not being an insecure and not being in Issa's life is probably for the best, because Lawrence, well, let's put it this way, Issa was below his class. And once he found that out, there was no going back for him. And I think a lot of things in Lawrence's mind and his heart, he felt bad because he knew he couldn't go back to her. And I think her cheating on him just freed him from her, because she was actually holding him back. I think a lot of, for lack of a better term, educated lames are angry at black women, especially the regular black women, the rank and file. I'm not talking about the upscale chicks. They're a different category. We'll talk about that later, about the upscale chicks, which is actually the real reason that so-called classic men or educated lames are actually angry. They're not really angry at Big Booty Brenda. They're actually angry at the 100 octane, the unavailable women that they truly desire. I think a lot of that anger that they have is misplaced. But anyway, to wrap this up, and insecure as far as Issa and Lawrence is concerned, Lawrence moving on and away and out of Issa's sphere is probably normal and proper. And I thought that's probably what should have happened season 1. But in season 2, we had to go through Lawrence's arc to where he found himself as a man and moved away. So now he is completely out of Issa's life. Now Issa has to find herself and admit that she's probably where she should be, and admit where her station in life actually is. She wants to be a Molly and she wants to be like her girlfriends, but the thing is, she doesn't want to put in the same work. And she is where she should be. As an 89, she's basically a Tasha with an education. That's the only difference between Issa Rae and Tasha. She is a Tasha with an education. And she is actually with the level of dude that she should be with. Just like what I try to tell my subs, especially my educated subs. Big Booty Brenda is with the level of dude that she should be with. And her not giving you attention, she shouldn't give you attention because you are not in her lane. You are not in her class. And you, like Lawrence, should be happy that it has happened, because that allows you to move on and to find yourself and be happy and be content. You shouldn't be unhappy. You should be non-content, because every woman, you're going to learn this. And as an old man, I can say this: every woman is not meant for you. And especially if you're going to date on a long-term basis, what is inside that woman is far more important than what's outside. Don't let anybody else tell you. Being pretty and being young, being pretty, being curvy, or whatever it is, being sexy is one thing. But the thing is, to have a relationship with that woman, you need what's inside and not what's on the outside. Lawrence needed what was inside, because as soon as he got away from Issa, he flourished. Because he needed a woman about what was inside. Even Tasha, even though Tasha couldn't give him all of what he wanted, even Tasha was better for him, because what was inside of her allowed him to flourish. And that's really the role of a woman. And vice versa, the role of a man. What's inside you allows that particular person to flourish. And if that woman, I don't care how good or how wet her snapper is or how beautiful she is on the outside, if she and her personality can't allow you to flourish, Shouldn't be with her. Stay in your lane, bruh. Just like Lawrence. Lawrence finally found his lane and decided to stay in it. He could have come back to Issa Rae. He could have came back to Issa. He didn't because he found his lane. And Issa is going to find hers this season. So I know this is supposed to be short and it's gotten kind of long, as rambles off do. But this is my thoughts before the first episode of Insecure. Peace.